Rhodium Radio knows how to podcast. Rhodium Radio knows how to podcast. In the city of Wilmington, we keep it rockin'. So come on, shake it for me, Kelly.
Yeah, Dr. Dre is in full effect, and I gotta tell y'all a little something. Eazy-E is down with us. MC Ring, you know he's down with us. DJ Yella is down with us. Arabian Prince, you know he's down with us. Tony A the Wizard is down with us. JJ Fag is down with us. Timmy T, you know he's down with us. DJ Pooh, boy, he's down with us. Toddy B and Spade, they're down with us. My boy Ice Cube, you know he's down with us. I like to mention, so pay attention to where I'm from, Compton, but the tapes are from the Roadium. My name is Dre, listen while I play. And by the way, I'm also down with NWA. Yo, Steve at the Roadium is down with us. Slanging funky tapes, it is a must. We're number one.
Tony A. Tony A. When you're ready, go.
Welcome everybody to Rhodium Radio episode 41, and I am your host, Tony A the Wizard. Okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time, with the announcements. I know you guys are probably sick and tired of that. I always mention the Rhodium Mixtape, DOCUMIXERY all the time, but we're going to skip all that for right now. We're going to jump right into one of the most anticipated interviews, at least in my book, that I've been waiting for ever since I talked to this man. So without further ado, Rafael Reyes, prayers.
What's up, Tony?
How you doing, my brother?
I'm good. Family, aquí bien. Todo bien. Thanks for having me over, man.
Oh, well, I thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
How was the drive?
Not bad, man. An hour and a half, LA. That's
That's
not
early.
bad. Yeah.
And you
for
showed
LA,
up early.
right? Yeah.
That's dope. You know what?
Glad I respect you, man. I'm gonna roll up early,
Dope. Muchas gracias. And I'm glad. You know what? I'm glad you did that.
And I respect myself.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You know what? One thing that I want to mention first of all. Every time I text you, you text me right back. Today, you even posted it up on your page and on your story. You know why I bring that up? Because there's guys that have asked me for interviews, that have asked me, and will not even call me back, will not even text me back. And let me tell you something, man. When you did all of that, man, you just earned the utmost respect that I have for you, man. So,
I just treat people the way I want to be treated, Real
awesome.
talk, man.
Awesome. You know what? I wanted to ask you something. We were talking about this off air. Do you know anybody that knows anyone that knows someone that has the coronavirus?
I do. I do, actually. Just today, I got the phone call on the way over here. One of my good homeboys, he went on a cruise to Egypt. I'm not going to say his name because it's my dog, but he hit me up and he was just like, damn, G, I'm in the hospital. I'm doing some blood work because I was on a cruise and some of the employees here had the coronavirus. So I don't know if my homeboy has it or not. He doesn't know if he does either. He's just getting some blood work done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, trip out.
See, today we were going to cancel because of the spread of coronavirus, but all we did was just switch to Modelo.
Órale. Hey.
So I
I've
know
been
it's
seeing all the memes on it. Some of them are just fucking insane.
big time. I know it's Wednesday. How's your week been going so far, man?
Firme, dog. Fucking so good, man. Every day's a blessing with me, man. Straight up, I'm married to the woman of my dreams. I have a beautiful son. My life is good, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One thing I always tell people, as long as I'm not dead, jail, or in the hospital, I'm blessed.
Yeah, straight up.
I'm blessed.
No,
I'm living life to the fullest. I saw an interview. I'm not sure exactly when you did it, but you talked about different types of music that you liked growing up. Can you elaborate on some of those groups?
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite bands growing up is their name is Christian Death, and they're like a death rock band from Los Angeles. I love like Bauhaus, and a lot of this is like dark wave. You would call it dark wave, even though Christian Death is considered death rock. And I mean, I was talking to the homies a little while ago about just because I checked out some of your interviews and I saw that you asked people like some of the music that influenced them or some of the first songs that they ever listened to, and I was thinking, and I thought it was like I thought it was a Duran Duran song that I saw on MTV, because my neighbor, I grew up really poor, but my neighbor, he had MTV, so I'd go over to his house and just watch MTV when I was younger, and I thought it was a Duran Duran video, but it wasn't. It turned out that it was his sister was playing. I can't remember the song, but it was a Prince song. And I remember just listening to it, and it just like blew my mind. You know, I had never heard anything like it. But it was actually Prince was the first song that I actually listened to that tripped me out.
Oh, are you a Prince fan at all?
Yeah, I love Prince, man.
I love Prince too, right? I always tell people, you know, between Prince and Michael Jackson, if I had to choose,
Prince, man.
I would say
Yeah,
Prince.
Prince.
Okay. The reason why I asked you about that music is because, okay, I grew up in the 80s. I was born in 68.
Yeah.
First time I ever went to a nightclub, I was 11 years old. And my brother Mario, who I'm going to go visit soon, he's been pretty ill lately. He introduced me to funk, R&B. Now, my sister, my niece, Denise, who you met earlier, her mother, Alma, she's the one who introduced me more to like the Depeche Mode, the Soft Cell,
both.
And Duran, Thompson Twins. So it was all 80s stuff, you know. But out of all of that music, I loved Soft Cell was one of my favorite groups. You know, Mark Almond, Entertain Me, Chips on My Shoulder, Sex Dwarf, all of those songs.
Yeah.
You know, and this club that I used to go to, the reason why I'm sharing it because I have a point.
Okay.
One side was all funk, R&B, and the other side was all if you will, what we used to call new wave or the Depeche Mode was Everything Counts when all that stuff was first coming out. And growing up, I didn't know which way to go. You know, should I be more of the Depeche Mode soft cell stuff, or should I be more of the R&B funk stuff?
Because it kind of was like that back then. I remember when I was in school, it was kind of the cliques were divided by what you listened to.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And now people just listen to all of it.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. So when I started DJing, weddings, quinceañeras, whatever, I started playing everything. You know, you had to play everything. But when I started meeting hip hop rappers rapping, that's when I started going more towards the hip hop side.
Okay.
But I could have done and lived that lifestyle because I loved it. And I bring that up because I like a lot of your videos. A lot of your videos, the West End Girls videos.
Yeah.
That was fucking dope.
Gracias, I directed that. I directed all my videos.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow. I was about to say, well, who did that? Tim Burton or something like that, man? That shit was dope.
That's your boy.
Well,
Leafar
dope.
Seyer, the dragon.
Dope, man. You know what? Much love, much props for that shit.
Gracias, hermano.
So where did you grow up at?
In Sherman Heights, Grand Hills Park in San Diego, California.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was born in Mexico. I came here when I was 4 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, but I landed in Sherman Heights and, you know, been there until I moved up to LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what part of Mexico were your parents from?
Cotija, Michoacan.
Okay. Okay. How long were you there for?
Till the age of 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you still have good memories playing over there?
No, I can't remember anything.
Really?
From back then, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I have several stories that I had in my mind, and it wasn't until recently where I was talking to my mother about when we first came to the United States, because in my mind I had a complete different story. I thought that we came in the trunk of a car, and then met my father at a gas station. But it wasn't that way. It was actually my father's younger brother, Salvador, who was the coyote who brought us through the desert. Then we met up with my pops in a gas station. So that's what actually happened. But in my mind, I had a whole different story, a different take.
So 4 years old, coming here to San Diego,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much where you were raised.
Yes.
Pretty much raised.
Yeah.
School, you went to
Sherman. Yeah, I went to Sherman Elementary. And then I went to Pacific Beach Middle. And then after that, I started getting in trouble. I went to Mission Bay High School for like a week. And then after that, I went to a continuation school called Tops. A lot of the troublemakers from our neighborhood would go there. And then I got kicked out of that school, man. I didn't even last in the troublemaking school for like same thing, like about a week. I got in trouble. They put me in the wrong class. They put me in a class where that class was kind of segregated, and they put me in a class that like I shouldn't have been in. And back then I was kind of a live wire, and I always felt like I had something to prove. And I had like a small man's complex, you know.
Okay.
And I was always the one just like setting it off. And I got kicked out. And then after that, that was it. No more school for me. So I started just doing my thing. And then I got a job, got into working, took that seriously for a while. I think started working seriously. I think when I turned 16, I got a job, and I really liked the people I was working for, and they taught me so much. And then I was working at a restaurant with this dude Alejandro. He was like this, world-renowned chef, and he took a liking to me, and he taught me everything he knew. And after that, I just saved up my cash, and I opened up my own restaurant when I was 18, and it's still there. It's still in San Diego. It's called Poke's Mexican Eatery, and it was like the first vegetarian vegan restaurant. This was in like, I opened it in '94, and I was 18 in '94, and when I was in '93 is when I started, building it out.
Okay.
And it's still there. My family runs it now. When I started doing music, and the music started doing well, I didn't feel that the need to do the restaurant anymore because it was just so time consuming that I gave it to my brothers. I have 3 brothers, Alfonso, Carlos, Salvador, and they run it now. It's theirs.
Hermanos?
Yeah, I have 2 sisters, Guadalupe and Sandra.
Dope.
Yeah, shout out to my family, the Reyes clan.
Reyes clan, much love. Now, growing up, any instruments?
For a little bit, I did the saxophone.
Okay.
Yes, brother. The saxophone was hot in the 80s, you know what I mean?
Yeah, especially with Careless Whisper.
Yeah. Yeah, the saxophone for a minute, but that didn't last too long. That didn't last too long.
Any sports growing up?
No, I was bad. I was really bad at sports. I did soccer for a little bit, and my dad was actually the coach, and he embarrassed me once in front of the entire team, and it was my bad. I just was not good at sports, and he made an example of me because I ended up kicking the ball to the opposite team, and they scored on us, and it was my fault. So my dad got upset, and he kind of yelled at me in front of the whole team, and I was like, F this, and then I just ran off the field, went home, and when my pops got home, my mom was like, hey, he's never playing sports again, you know. Right. So it was cool.
I got somewhat of a similar story like that with my dad. I was playing football, like tackle football.
Yeah.
And I was so excited. I think I was like in 7th grade, somewhere around there. And my dad shows up with a station wagon,
Yeah.
And I turn around and look at him. So I'm going to show off because they're trying me out for a receiver. They throw the ball, and it goes right through my hands. And I didn't even look at the coach. I turned around and I looked at him.
Yeah.
And he was taking a drink of his beer, and he was going like this. He turned on the station wagon and he took off. I had to walk home, but that was like
trip out.
But you know what? But that encouraged me to try harder.
Yeah.
So now, at 16, you started working.
Yeah.
What was your first job?
I was washing dishes. I was washing dishes at a Spanish restaurant. Okay. But I moved quickly, man. I went from washing dishes. I wasn't washing dishes for that long. I went from that to prepping to working the line to being the sous chef really quick. I even came out in a couple magazines, in San Diego, a couple culinary magazines, and yeah, man, I thought I was the hot shit for a minute. I really thought that was gonna be what I did for the rest of my life.
Right. Now, speaking of chef, do you like Gordon Ramsay? To Hell and Back, Hell's Kitchen.
I'm not too familiar with a lot of cooking shows.
That's about the only one I watched. They put on TV. Me gusta ese cabrón because he yells at people. What the
that's
fuck
how
are you
it
doing?
Is, man, in that environment. Yeah,
I love it. So, would you say you were natural?
I think so. Yeah. I think I just, man. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think I have. I can adapt, and I can, and I'm if something interests me, I get good at it quick, just like I did with music. I had never done music before, and I just said, I'm going to start doing this now. And for 1 year, I just watched a bunch of YouTube channels on producing. I taught myself how to produce, and I started putting all these little music videos together with my cell phone, and then after that, people started reaching out to me, and then I started a band called Baptism of Thieves, and that went really good in San Diego. It had a cult following, and then I started a different project called Vampire, and I did really well too in my city, and and we were getting offers from labels and stuff, and then we fell apart because there was turmoil within the band, and that's when I started Prayers with my boy Dave Parlay. Shout out Dave Parlay, and then that just took off.
Oh,
yeah.
So,
but Prayers is actually 2 people. It's me and my partner Dave Parlay. But a lot of people are now just calling me Prayers, but I'm not Prayers. I'm Leafar Seyer and my boy Dave Parlay. But yeah, maybe now I'm just gonna take it in as I'm gonna just be Prayers, because that's how it is when people see me in the streets. They're like, "Yo, Prayers." I'm like, "Oh, what's that?"
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, so you had at 16, you started cooking, you adapted.
Yeah.
And what gave you the idea to say, you know what, I'm gonna open up my own fucking restaurant? Like what made you?
Well, it was kind of revenge in a way, because I had given my father and I had given that restaurant that we were working for our everything.
Yes.
You know, man, I was working 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week, and then the restaurant got bought by this football player. I don't remember his name, but it was like some San Diego football player, and he didn't like me. He didn't like the fact that I was so young and I was running the kitchen, because at that time the chef had left to open up a different restaurant in New York, and he left me in charge. And they had hired some guy from Spain that was fresh out of culinary school, but he didn't have no hands-on experience. He just had all the paperwork, right? Yeah. So he was taking a lot of the credit that I was doing. So he was always like, "Hey, can you help me with the specials of the day?" And I was like, "Yeah, no problem." And he was getting paid more than I was, and I was doing most of the work, and I had an issue with it. So one day I spoke up and I was like, "Hey, man, you know, what's going on here? You know, like this dude's taking all my credit and I'm doing all this." And then the next day I just got fired.
Like that?
Yeah, the dude was just like, you know, didn't like my attitude, I guess, and he fired me. And I have an attitude, I know that, but I think it's, you know, it's for a reason. I'm not just like kicking up dust for no reason.
Right.
So when I got fired, I was kind of I was turned off by it, and I didn't know what to do. I had some money saved up, but during that time I was working so much. I was, like I said, I was working 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts, and I was making tons of money for that time, you know, and I was giving like half of it to my mother. And then the other half, I have a baby's mother, I was giving her the other half. So, and then I wasn't, all I was doing was working. So I wasn't spending. I was just like, the money was just accumulating. So when I was done, I was like, man, what am I gonna do? And at that time I was like, I had visited San Francisco a few times, and I thought to myself, man, I really like San Francisco. Maybe I'll go up there and open up like a coffee shop restaurant down there. And it was my father. It was like, no te vayas, mijo. Like, don't leave us, stay here. You know, let's do it here. And then my mother was like, yo, all the money you gave me, I saved it. Like, it's here. And she had it in a shoebox, and she was like, here. And it was like 30 grand in a shoebox. And I was like, oh, all right, well, let's do it, you know? So then I started looking for a spot, found a spot that I liked. I went, called a number, met up with the real estate guy, and he was just like, man, you're too young to open up this restaurant. And I was like, man, just give me a shot, you know, like I can do this. And he did, and took me like a year, you know, to get it to how I wanted it. And towards the end, I actually had run out of money on the build out. Now, I had borrowed some money from some of my homies from my neighborhood and some other people just to open it up, because I had no money. So I didn't even have money to like get the food, you know. And I got the money. I started making all the money back, paid everyone off. And then for 6 years, I struggled, you know, like bad. Like it was really rough. Like there was moments where it was just me running the restaurant, because my dad would get really sick. He would faint sometimes, and he had like diabetes, and you know, he had other things wrong with him. So sometimes it was my father and it was my restaurant I opened, and my father was like, oh, I got your back, I'm gonna work with you. So during this time it was just my father and I, so we didn't make enough money to have employees. So, and there would be moments where my father would like have a seizure and he would faint on me, so I would have to like cut an onion, put it under his nose to wake him up. He would wake up, and I'd be like, hey, Papa, just sit down. So I would run the restaurant by myself. Like, people would come in, and I still remember my little spill that I had. I would say, hey, I'm here by myself. I'm running the restaurant. So like, if you're in a hurry, it's going to take a minute. But if you're not, you know, you're welcome to stay and eat. And some people would be like, well, I'm in a hurry. Some people would say, yeah, it's cool. You know, I have the time. So I would bring them their silverware, their drinks, their chips, their salsa, their menu. I would take their order. Then I would go to the back, and then I would make their food. I would bring it to them. Then I would ring them up. Then I would clear the table, wash the dishes. And I was doing that, man, for like 6 years. I was killing myself, man. I didn't have no life. I lost like friendships. I lost so much, and actually, and I was really depressed during that time too, because like everything had changed for me, because I went from making a lot of money, and even when I was in my neighborhood I grew up really poor, but I've always managed to have money in my life. Even when I was at my poorest, when I was really young, I used to like go to the soccer field, to the parks, and I would recycle cans. So I always had feria with me, and then when I was doing my thing with my homeboys, I had a lot of money back then too. I would run errands and whatever, and it would take care of me. But so I've always had feria with me, even like so. But those 6 years was the first period of my life that I was like working extremely hard and had nothing to show for it. And my mother would tell me, hey, ya cierra el restaurant, you're killing yourself. And I was like, I can't. I signed a lease for 5 years, and right. if I leave, I'm still gonna have to, if I go get a job and I leave this, I've still got to pay that rent, or I'm gonna get right. sued. So I'm just gonna stick it out I'm gonna stick it out till the lease is over, and fuck it. I remember, man, I used to sometimes like on my own, like be I would catch myself, like, not catch myself, but sometimes I would be in tears, like I didn't even, like, my car broke down. I had no money to fix it. So now I had to get all the produce on a skateboard. Wow. So I sold the car just to make a little extra money. And I remember I would wake up at 5 in the morning, skateboard down to the produce district, and then get all the produce, stack it up on the skateboard, walk it to the restaurant. Sometimes the restaurant, the skateboard would hit a crack on the concrete, and everything would just spill. The tomatoes, the avocados, everything would just be on the streets. Cars would run over my produce, and I'd be like just frustrated, and I'd just break out. Tears would come out of my eyes because I was just so like beaten. Like my spirits were broken. And that was like a reoccurring theme, man. That was like for 6 years that was happening, man. And then I was doing the vegan vegetarian thing, and this was in the 90s. That word didn't even exist back then. Like I knew it existed, and the people that I was, the people that were in my circle, which was, the hardcore straight edge scene in San Diego, which were a lot of the kids that would come and eat at my restaurant and support me. Shout out to the homie Curtis from TTBB. Shout out, who else? There's a few people that helped me out along the way that were like in that scene, that were always like looking out for me. But for the most part, like I was on my own, and man, I struggled. I'd stay. But you know what? Like after 6 years, it turned around. Like after like the 5th year, I started seeing money coming in, and then all of a sudden there was like a lot of money. The restaurant just blew up. I bought my mom a house when I was 24 years old.
Awesome.
I bought myself a house when I was 27. I built an apartment complex right after that when I was like 29 or something. You know what I mean? So I took that money, flipped it. So and then the restaurant, I stuck it out. It went from a curse to a blessing. Yeah, man.
It reminds me, because when I was 16 years old, my first job was working at second job was working at a video store. Mm-hmm. And I knew how to run that damn place after like a couple of months.
Yeah.
And after a while, I told my mom, let's open up a video store. Again, this is the 80s.
Yeah.
We opened up a video store right down the street, and it was actually successful for a while. But here was the thing. I was there working like from 9 o'clock to like 9 o'clock at night. And I'm going to be honest, I know my brothers are not going to like it, but they never used to help. I knew how to run the register. I knew how to do the number, the videotapes, y todo pues.
Yeah.
But they never helped, and then it just went under. I wish I could have stuck it out, but I couldn't be there every day from 9 to 9, 12 hours. I know it's tough, but that's what that kind of reminded me of, But, that's an amazing story right there. And I know you mentioned a lot about your father. Obviously, you guys had a really good, close, tight relationship.
Yeah, man. I miss my pops, man. We had a really close relationship, man. And towards the end, it got really hard for him physically. And, he was extremely sick. And towards the end of his life, I was doing really well financially, and I decided, you know what, I'm already visiting my father at the nursing home all the time. I'm taking him and picking him up from his doctor appointments, and I'm just all I'm doing is spending time with him.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to be in the nursing home no more, and he was like, hey man, if I'm gonna die, I want to die in my own bed, in my own home. And I was like, yeah, screw it, let's do it. You know what I mean? The restaurant's doing really well. It's running itself. My brothers are old enough now to work there and keep an eye on it. They were managing it for me. So I was just going in and collecting the money. I wasn't even working it anymore. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be my dad's caretaker, caregiver. So I got him out of the nursing home, and I took care of my pops for like 4 years. I would make his food, take him to his doctor appointments, to his dialysis. But my dad was, how can I say, physically he couldn't take care of himself, and his body was now doing things that like he couldn't control. Like he would soil himself, so I would have to change him, and I think that bothered him. And at the moment, maybe I felt like that I was doing things that, how can I put it? Let me try to form this sentence and put this together. What I'm trying to say is that, like, I didn't realize that maybe someone else should have been doing that instead of me, because again, I'm his son, he's my father, and now I'm changing his diaper.
Yes.
So I'm sure that didn't sit well with him, but I thought, like, I didn't think of it like that. I just was like, yo, this is my father. I love him. I'll do anything for him. And it started chipping away at our relationship, and he would get rude with me, and he would say cruel things. And towards the end, he said he was, towards the end, he had an incident where he soiled himself. And I was kind of upset, because at this point I had already, like, I've been doing this for 4 years. I had lost my girlfriend, not because of it, but I was just so committed to my dad. And when that happened, okay, where am I at? So sometimes when I go talk about my father, it just like puts me in a moment where like my thoughts just
All good,
I have a hard time communicating that story. But so what had occurred was, I think we were chipping away at each other. He was chipping away at my patience, and because I felt like I didn't expect him to be like, hey man, this is great that you're doing this for me, but I didn't want to be belittled either. So at one point, plus he was, man, I am really struggling talking today. So I had said, Father, you gotta let me know when you soil yourself, because you're getting a rash, and I want to be able to help you. And and he didn't even know that he'd soiled himself. He had no control over his body. So if he would have known, he would probably say, hey, take me to the bathroom, right? But I wasn't thinking that way. I was just tired. And during that day, I made him a bath, and I was cleaning him, and he went in on me. He said some things that really hurt me. He was like, hey, you like touching me. That's why you do this. You like touching my junk. You're a little this, you're a little that. And I was like, yeah, I totally love cleaning your soiled parts. I'm holding my breath because I'm about to throw up in my own mouth, and this is how you're talking to me. And I said, you know what, F you, this is the reason no one else wants to help you, because how you treat people, the nursing home didn't even want you because you were so rude to everyone, and now the only person that's helping you're treating me like this. And I was like, you know what, F you. I put his clothes, I dried him out, I put his clothes on, and I left him on the bed, and I left. I abandoned him. I peaced out. I was like, you know what, F you. And we said some mean things to each other. I was like, fuck you, no, fuck you. And then I left. I said, fuck it. I called some of my old homeboys, and I was like, where you guys at? And cruise over, and I went and smoked some pot. And this time I was like completely sober. I've always been pretty much sober. I've experimented, and I used to, fuck around with a lot of like LSD, but I never really did like a lot of crazy stuff, other than like LSD and some. I guess that is crazy. To me, it wasn't.
Just a little bit.
So whatever. Cause some of the homies had some beer, and they had some pot, and then I get a phone call. I get a phone call from my mother, and she's like, what the, she's screaming at me like, why'd you abandon your dad? And I was so mad too. I was just like, screw him. I'm sick of his shit. He doesn't appreciate me or what I'm doing for him. I'm fucking tired of this shit. I've given up so much. I'm young. I could be hanging out with, whatever. And instead I'm like, spending all this time trying to do all these things for him that he's ungrateful. Fuck him. I'm sick of him. I hope he fucking dies already. He's just a burden on us. And then my mom's like, well, you got your fucking wish. And I was just like, fuck. I just fucking, I just went pale. I just got, my shit just fucking hurt. I got in my car and I drove down to my mother's house. My dad passed away. I left him in the bed and he choked on his vomit. And I wasn't there so it fucked me up. I started punishing myself in different ways. I started like I wanted to get beat up, so I was always like going out, picking fights with people. And it was funny, like I've been in so many fights, but I've lost the majority of all those fights that I've been in. But that period when my father passed away and I was angry, like I never had lost a fight. And I think I was just fighting differently. I really was wanting someone to like beat the shit out of me, and I think my anger and my pain was giving me a strength that like I didn't have before, so I punished myself for a long time. And then I got in trouble right after that, and did like 6 months in a work furlough program. And in the work furlough program, my dad came to me in a dream, and it was as real as this conversation that you and I are having. And I was like, I was taken back by it. And he basically, we made peace with each other, and he said he loved me and that it wasn't my fault, and that he wants me to just stop punishing myself and to do the things that are in my heart, whatever that may be. And man, I woke up a different person, I woke up a completely different person, and I started working out every morning, and then I started writing. And when I got out of the program, I had finished a book, and then that's when I was like, that's when I actually started doing music. When I got out of the program, actually, I did a couple of things, because before that, before all of that, right after that, I had I've always been kind of into fashion. So I had won a scholarship for fashion design.
Wow.
Yeah, but instead of going to school for fashion design, I ended up going to school for hypnotherapy, because I wanted to work on my own mind. I didn't want someone else to work on it, so I wanted to work on it myself. So I ended up I went to school for hypnosis, and I learned neuro-linguistic programming. And I actually applied the neuro-linguistic programming to the music that I was making at the time. And the first album that I made a bunch of albums that didn't come out, but the first one that came out, which was like the SD Kill Wave with From Dogg to God, all of those songs were written with neuro-linguistic programming in mind.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to press pause right there. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and we're going to pick it up right where we left off.
Yeah,
awesome. So once again, everybody, we're having a great time here with Rafael. Make sure you call somebody, text somebody, slap the shit out of somebody, let them know that we're in the building with prayers. Once again, go get don't drink Corona, go get a Modelo. You might get the virus. But once again, we'll be back 10 minutes. Talk to you soon.
Yo, this is how I see it. Tony A chilling at the Rhodium with my homeboy Steve. Be on the lookout for our new 12-inch. The shit is dope. Yo, I like to say what's up to my homeboy Dre, my homeboy Prince of Jazz, and the girls with the big ol' ass. So Trip, I'm about to bust one more time to let y'all niggas know just what's on my mind.
In the morning, police at my door. Fresh Adidas squeak across my bathroom floor. Out my back window, I make my escape. Didn't even get a chance to grab my old school tape. Mad with no music, but happy 'cause free. And the streets too
They do what it do. It's Mr. Little One chilling on Rhodium Radio with the one and only Tony A and John motherfucking Elkins, boy.
Hey, what up? It's your boy Mr. Shadow. You're watching Roadium Radio with my homeboy Tony A the Wizard. You know what time it is.
Yeah, what up? This is Mr. Night Owl, and you're listening to Roadium Radio with the legendary Tony A the motherfucking Wizard.
Yo, what's cracking? Nosotros somos Aquid y estamos aquí con Tony A the Wizard. You know Roadium Radio, damn it. You know what it is.
Yo, what up? This is Mellow Man Ace and Padrino, and you tuned in to Roadium Radio with my man Tony A. Keep it locked.
Yo, what's cracking? It's your boy OG Arabian Prince from the world's most dangerous group, NWA. Sitting here with my boy Tony A the Wizard on Roadium Radio.
What's up? This is Esther Dazzle, Spanish Fly, Harbor Area's finest. Tune in to Tony A on Roadium Radio.
What's up, everybody? It's your homegirl Magic Girl, and you're now listening to Roadium Radio with Tony A the Wizard.
Yo, what's up? This is Bozo, aka Emiliano. You tune into Roadium Radio on Tony Vision's YouTube channel. Let's get it.
What up? It's Mr. Soto. You guys are now in tune to Roadium Radio right here on Tony Vision on YouTube.
Yep. Check it out. This is MC Poncho on the MIC. Shout out to Tony A the Wizard, Roadium Radio. You already know.
What up? This is DJ Trick, Spanish Fly, and you're watching Tony A on the Roadium Radio Show.
Big G, Roadium Radio, Tony A in full effect. Stay tuned, watch, listen. This is how we doing it over here.
Yo, what up? I'm out here. It's Big Daddy Swoles. I'm jamming with my man, Tony A the Wizard, out here on Roadium Radio. The podcast is off the hook. Check us out.
This is DJ Clientele, and you are listening to Roadium Radio with Tony A the Wizard.
Yeah, this Baby Bounce here with Tony A the Wizard. You are now tuned in to the Roadium Radio. We do it for the people. You hear me?
Mic check. Ernie G from Proper Dos, and I'm listening to Tony A the motherfucking Wizard on Roadium Radio. And if you don't know, you should know.
What's up, everybody? This is Soren Baker. I'm the author of the book, The History of Gangster Rap, in stores now worldwide. And you're listening to Roadium Radio, hosted by Tony A. Make sure to check it out. We talk about the Roadium mixtapes. We're here, Soren Baker, Roadium Radio.
Y'all, this is Rudy Gregg, and I'm chilling with Tony the Wizard on Roadium Radio.
Yo, this is Daniel Jones, the D to the motherfucking G Media Clips. Here with your boy, Tony A the Wizard on the Roadium Radio Show.
Hey, this is Swifty Blue. I'm right here at Roadium Radio with Tony A the Wizard. Stay tuned.
It's the KAS here live on Roadium Radio with the one and only Tony A the Wizard.
What up, y'all? This is Kiki Smooth, the first Mexican rapper out of Compton, rich and ruthless, and you're listening to the Roadium Radio with Tony A the Grand Wizard, El Mago himself. Hey, Compton's in the house.
What's up? It's Quite the Yes Guy with my Harbor Ottawa homeboy Tony A the Wizard on Roadium Radio. Yes, guy.
Hey, what's up, gente? It's your homeboy Duende. You're tuned into Roadium Radio with my homeboy Tony A the Wizard. Ya te la sabes, güey.
What up? It's your boy Baldacci the Beast, Afro Music, face of LA. Right here at Roadium Radio. Make sure y'all tune in. Your boy Tony A the Wizard. Brah.
What's up? This is DJ Dominator, and you're listening to Tony A on Roadium Radio.
This is Kelvin Anderson, owner of the world famous VIP Records, and you listen to my man Tony A the Wizard on Roadium Radio.
Yeah, what up? It's Lil Black, you the brown super baller, and you checking out Roadium Radio with the homeboy Tony A the Wizard.
Yo, what's cracking? It's your boy OG Big Wicked, Real Ones Apparel, Orange County. Out here with my boy Tony A the Wizard, Roadium Radio. Y'all make sure to peep it. Peace.
Que tranza raza, aquí su servidor, Sinful and Pecador, and you listening to Roadium Radio with my boy Tony A the Wizard.
Check. What's up? It's your boy Capital I Man from the Mexican Crew, and you're tuning into Roadium Radio with my boy Tony A the Wizard. Motherfucker's a legend. Wow.
What's up, y'all? This is Christy Glove, and you're watching the Roadium Radio Show on Tony Vision on YouTube.
What's up? This is Mr. D on Roadium Radio, kicking back with the homeboy Tony A.
Yo, what's up? This is John motherfucking Elkins, and you're tuning into Roadium Radio with my homeboy DJ Tony A the Wizard.
What up, West Coast and all hip-hop fans? This is your girl, Violet Brown, and I'm here with Tony A the Wizard. And if you're rolling with us right now, that means that you love West Coast hip-hop. And if you want to know the real deal from the real players, the real people behind the scenes, you better pick up Tony's new film, Roadium Mixtape DOCUMIXERY. You get it by going to DOCUMIXERY.com. You better get this. And I want to do a special shout out and a rest in peace to my man Steve YANO. I'm out.
Yo, right about now, Dr. Dre is in effect. Cold tearing shit up with my man Steve at the Rhodium swap meet. And we here to lay it on the line. To all them sucker niggas out there claiming our tapes and shit, we just got one thing to say.
Never catch you boy, your ass is mine. Never catch you boy, your ass is mine. Never catch you boy, your ass is mine. Yeah! Now my name is Dr. Dre. 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 Went to a party in West LA. Wanna learn a new dance, that's what you say. Well, here's the new dance that can't be matched. So just step to the floor and do the cabin. Here it come, here it come, here it kitty come, come. Here it come, here it come, here it kitty come, come.
Lonzo, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You sure?
Motherfucker, I'm ready, goddamn!
Like it ain't shit, cause I'm a player motherfucker named DJ Quick. It's a full-time jack move. Billy Joe, yo, homie, make the crack move. Freestyle, meanwhile, we keep the big chicken. Sweat dripping, girlies in the middle with your cute. Walked in the house, got shot. 1, 2, 3. Motherfucker, don't down this shit. This is it, y'all. Daddy. I'm kick your ass.
Cut. We're good. Welcome everybody back to Rhodium Radio episode 41, and I'm your host Tony A. the Wizard. Don't ask me why they call me the Wizard. Maybe one day I'll explain it, but I think on several podcasts I've already shared it. But anyway, there's nothing wizard about me other than my quick hands on the turntables, and I don't even know if wizards are even quick. But anyways, without further ado, once again, Rafael, how you doing, my brother?
I'm great, carnal. Gracias. Todo bien. Todo firme.
Yes, on break,
Sí,
we
more.
heard that they canceled the NBA season, supposedly because of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And then my niece was telling me that it's that Tom Hanks and his wife caught the coronavirus. They tested positive for that. But well, you know what I don't understand? What's going on with all the toilet paper, man?
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
I don't know. I mean, I understand if you have a big nalga, you need a lot of toilet paper. You know, if you don't, save us some. But anyways, back to where we were at. Let's press unpause. And before we went to break, you were talking about your first album.
Oh, yeah. That's right, man. Oh, man, the pause that we took really helped out. Yeah, put me in a different space. Yeah, my first album, SD Kill Wave, man, I did that with my partner, Dave Parlay. We did that in 2 days, man.
Wow.
Yeah, in 2 days, and I put a lot of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, so a lot of the songs are very, like if you listen to the lyrics, they're just very repetitive, and there's certain words that I use that it stimulate the subconscious mind, you know, there's like, it's been a minute since I studied, since I would have to go back to my books, but there's certain words that stimulate the subconscious minds that allows the certain part of the mind to open, because there's what is it? There's the analytical and there's the subconscious, and in order for you to even like be able to break into the subconscious mind, you got to use certain words that are like keys that will open it. So there's a word like what's the word because is one of them. The word like, let's see, the word imagine is a good one. So if I was to say to you, imagine, your mind already opens up to tons of possibilities, right? And I can paint whatever picture I want with that type of word. So
that's how John Lennon, he had that awesome song, Imagine. Remember that song?
Oh, yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
You know,
the power of words, man. I've always been fascinated by words. My favorite word is ceremony. I just love the way it sounds. I love the letters and what it means too. Yeah.
Dope. Now, now let me ask you, for those of us that are producers and love drum machines and love music, who produced that first album?
My boy Dave Parlay. Yeah, on an MPC.
MPC.
Yeah.
That's dope. You know, I know I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but I've seen lots of videos of you, and you don't have a band.
No, it's just my partner and I. It's like old school, like let's say like Tears for Fears, like Pet Shop Boys, you know what I mean? Like Soft Cell.
Yeah.
Just two dudes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
One on the mic and one producing. And he does that in real time. You know, he's a drummer by trade. Yeah. But he's dope, man, my boy. I wish he was here. I invited him to roll through, but he had something going on already.
That shit is dope. So how many songs did you do on that album?
I believe 8. I believe 8.
Yeah. Now here's a question that I should have asked. What made you, if you will, or encouraged you or motivated you to start singing / I guess
I always loved music. I always wanted to, but like I was doing it at the time. I was doing what I needed, which was to make money, which was this restaurant, But I always felt like inside, like I felt like for lack of better words, an artist. I felt like really always as a kid. I always loved music, drawing, clothing.
Dope. There's a lot of stories that you shared that remind me a lot of my life. For an example, drawing. I always loved drawing.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, actually in elementary school, I used to draw murals. I loved big pictures and start drawing them, painting them and everything. And even when you shared about your father, it reminded me a lot about my father, because my father lived down the street. He used to live by himself, and he had a caretaker, and she would actually take care of him and change him or whatever he needed. But one good thing, even though he's passed away, some of the good things that I hold on from my father is that sometimes I still think he's still alive. I would wake up, because I get up in the morning, get dressed, and then walk down the street to a diner or whatnot. And I like walking a lot.
Yeah, me
and
too.
And I love doing a lot of things by myself. And I always hear his voice, Antonio, ven a recogerme, and I always think, let me call him. And then I remember that he's no longer here. But those are like my father's memories, like that I still have.
Yeah.
So there's been times that I've told my kids, like, I'm going to go pick, and I catch myself saying, I'm going to go pick up my father, and bring him over or whatnot. But again, So your first album comes out. Did you have a distribution deal? Did you have a record deal at the time, or
no? I self-released it, man, through CD Baby. Shout out CD Baby, because they've looked out for me, man. Even to this day. And straight up, man, I get some of my fattest checks from CD Baby still. Like,
really?
I trip out. Yeah, I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm actually thinking my last album, Baptism of Thieves, I released it with BMG, so a major label, and they did me great, man. BMG came through for me, and they took care of me, and they let me own my masters, which is, rare. Right. But I own all my masters to everything. And, but I was thinking, CD Baby just got bought out, but I don't know who, but I was talking to my management, and I was like, man, I don't know if my next album, if I want to go major again. I mean, maybe I'll play it for them, shop it around, and see what they're offering and whatnot. But there's a part of me that like really wants to go independent again, just because of the control, and because I don't like deadlines, and I don't like people changing things on me, and that's what I didn't like about there were certain songs in Baptism of Thieves that I felt were not done, but the deadline was like, yo, this is coming out at this date, and there's no ifs or buts, and I was just like, man, this Wild Roses, I really wanted to work on it a little bit more, and that's what happens when other people have a say in what you're doing. So I'm working on a new album. Actually, I'm calling it Cholo Goth, just because I coined the term, and I felt like it's time for me to put a stamp on it. But I'm like 4 songs. No, I love 4 songs. I'm like 6 songs deep, and 2 of them I'm kind of like, I'm not I'm not in love with them. I don't know if I'm gonna keep them, work on them a little bit more, see if I can get them to where I'm happy about them. But I have 4. This new album that I'm working on, also same thing, like 8 songs. I don't think people are consuming music the way they used to, like where 12, 24 songs on an album. I just do 8, and but like I have 4 that I'm really excited about. I'm doing 2 songs in Espanol, which is my first time that I've done that. But yeah, like I was saying, I'm regressing. I'm off topic, but yeah, I'm thinking about maybe self-releasing, and I'll probably do it through CD Baby. I love the transparency. I mean, my team wants me to look into other options and stuff, which I'm probably gonna see what else is out there for me. But I don't know, man. I like the transparency, and I like the control. You know what I mean? I like that I can go in and just see my numbers, and you know what I mean? And I love that I get a monthly check, even from the label. So sometimes it takes whatever it takes, but with the man, I mean, dude, I did great money with Baptism of Thieves and Young Gods, but like, man, I still get monthly checks from SD Killwave and Gothic Summer,
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, around, how old were you when you first started performing?
Shoot, I was old, man. I think I was like 37. I was already had ganas,
So you weren't like as a youngster, maybe talent shows, performing, or
No.
Okay.
I think when I was younger, I don't want to say I was shy, but I was definitely dealing with a lot of demons. You know what I mean? I had just came. I was seeing my therapist the other day, and she was asking me about some of my early memories and whatnot, and she was asking me one of my first memories of school, and I was just like telling her how like there was a certain teacher that I really liked because she was always patient with me, and she was like my special ed teacher, and she was like, "You're in special ed?" And I was like, "Yeah, I wasn't good. I wasn't that bright, and I wasn't good at learning." And she's like, "No, dude, like you have it all wrong. Like what it was is that you were like first generation here. You're like, just came to the United States. You didn't know the language. You didn't have an older brother or someone. The information wasn't trickling down. You know what I mean? You were like your father. My father was, I love my father. He didn't know how to read or write, but he was always. I remember my dad always being there with me and being like, "What does it say here?" and helping me with my homework, even though he didn't even understand it. And it wasn't until I was able to read that I would catch my own mistakes that I realized, like, wait, how come my father is saying that like this is correct when it's not? And then I caught on to it, and I was like, hey, do you even understand this? Like, you know, like, why? I mean, he would help me. He was good with math, but he didn't know how to read or write. But, and I was like, and I would intentionally fuck up just to see if he knew what I was, you know, catch up, if he would catch up on it. And he would say, oh yeah, great job, man, that's good. And I was like, nah, this is wrong, like what? And he was like, oh, mijo, you know sé leer, you know, ni escribir. And I was like, then why are you helping me? You know, and he was like, I'm just trying to fucking encourage you, you know. And I was just like, damn, I love my pops, man, rest in peace. But so my therapist was like, nah, it's not that you know, weren't smart enough. It was just that, you know, you were the first one to be introduced to this new world, you know. You didn't speak the language, so of course you know. And it's crazy that you tell your story of like, well, I'm in special ed because I fucking wasn't smart enough, but it was, you know, that wasn't the case. So
yeah, you know,
what are we talking about?
Album, it's all good, brother. It's all good. You know what?
Oh, the album, yeah, man.
No, look, you know, it's funny that you say that because when I was in elementary school, mi primer idioma fue español, was Spanish.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And when I would see people in my elementary school that talk Spanish, I would talk to them in Spanish.
Yeah.
So right away, my teacher put me in ESL class. You know, and I remember I was one of the brightest kids in that class, and the teacher teaching that ESL class would always tell me, "You don't belong in here. Like, what are you doing here?" And I just think back then, if they just heard you speak Spanish, they just threw you, you know, with all the Spanish speaking kids.
Yeah.
You know, but I think I grew up thinking that I was dumb because they always put me in those classes.
Yeah,
you know.
man.
They always put you in those classes, but I knew I became, if you will, a student of reading, if you will, when I turned 22. I began to pick up books, and I just began, you know, and I began to pretty much educate myself. So now I love reading. And we were talking about earlier about Egypt. I read a lot of things about ancient Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, Israel, everything, you know. I think I know more about those, if you will, world powers than I do over Mexico and maybe over the United States.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, man. I was definitely colonized in a sense, and I'm trying to decolonize myself, you know, as we speak. But yeah, I'm with you on that, man. Same here. You know, I think I learned more about other, you know, religions and places than I did about Mexico, you know, until recently. Recently, that's my jam, you know.
Now you were saying earlier that you produced.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what encouraged that? Was it just fucking, I'm just gonna try it, or?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to do music. Okay, so this is a funny story right here that kind of like what got me into producing. So before I got in trouble, there was this one. I had started this like. Whoa, what's the word? For like a better words, like a group of artists, right? Like, so in San Diego at the time, there were all these galleries, but they would only allow certain individuals to show. And they weren't really letting certain street artists and whatnot show. And at this time, I really was into painting and sculptures. And so I started this group. I had my restaurant, so a lot of times I was like, well, I have this restaurant, I have this building, I'm gonna throw shows here. So when the restaurant was doing really well, I even was doing music festivals in my restaurant, you know, for all the local bands, and I would have art shows and whatnot. So I started a kind of a group. I started gathering all the outcasts and like people that like nobody really was messing with, and I was like, hey, well, come over here, you know, you can show at my place. And I started this little group at the time that I had a falling out with. They're called the Diamond Dogs, and I had a falling out with them, but I started it, and during that time there was this one individual who I saw a lot of talent, and he was producing, and he was making his own music, and he was, you know, singing and rapping, and he was just fucking really cool at what he did. And at this time I had asked him so he wanted to put out his music, and so the group, the Diamond Dogs, we used to get together once a month, and we paid dues, you know, and with that money we would throw events, or we would help each other out. If someone wanted to put out some music, say, hey, well, we have some money here, let's do that. So he was like, hey, I have this album and I want to put it out. And I was like, okay, cool. We'll put it out. So we got him a bunch of CDs and we put his album out, and I even produced his first music video and everything. I didn't even know what I was doing. It was my homeboy Jason, one of my homies, helped us out with that, and he was a Diamond Dog too. So in the Diamond Dogs, there was different people that did different things. You know, some people did music, and some people, wrote poems, and some people painted, and some people did fashion. It was really cool group at the time, and nothing like it, in San Diego. And it was cool because we were like, I'm from a neighborhood. I'm from Sherman Grand Hills Park, and we even had other dudes from other neighborhoods that were kind of like technically rivals. But there were outcasts, and they wanted to, and they really were into their art and their. I was like, man, come over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as you don't bring that stuff, we could bring your art, and let's make some art. So where am I at? Oh, so we put out this dude's music out. I'm not gonna say his name. I'm gonna give you no credit, dude. But so we put out his music, and man, we went all out for this dude, And then one day, I had written this song that I had in my head, and I was over at his pad, and we were just having a good time, and I said, hey man, like, record me, like, I know you have a bunch of beats, and like, I just want to do this. I just want to know what I sound like. I want to hear my voice, and it'd be fun. Yeah. And then he just looks at me straight faced, and he says, nah. And I was like, what? And then he's like, dude, you gotta stay in your lane, man. Like, I do music, you do food. You know what I mean? You do the restaurant, and like, that's what I do. And I was like, oh man, I'm not trying to do music. I just, you know what I mean? Just like messing around. Like, let me, and it hurt me. You know what I mean? Because I felt like, man, I put out your music. Whatever, I shouldn't have had expectations. When you do things for people, you do it out of love, not because you expect anything. But it did kind of like, was like, oh, okay, put a dagger through my heart, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, okay. So then I didn't ever want to ask nobody, you know what I mean? And then I had actually tried out for a band before that, like way before that, and the Floor Genius, and they had picked me. They were like, yeah, you can be our singer. And I was like, oh, so excited about that. And then the dude started dating this girl, and then he replaced me with his girlfriend. So I never even got to be a part of that band. And I was like, okay, whatever, it is what it is. So that's when I was like, yo, you know what? F everybody. I'll do it on my own. So when I got out of that program, I was in a different mind space too. You know what I mean? We'll say MySpace. But
mindset.
Yeah, mindset. I didn't really want to, I don't know. I was on my own thing. I really wasn't wanting to associate with too many people. And I had a falling out with those guys. Right. Like some bad things happened, and I had a falling out with them, whatever. And I moved on. I parted ways. And I said, man, I'm going to do my own thing. So I got on YouTube, and I learned, and I got myself a microcord. I got myself a Chaos pad, and I just started making beats, on my own. I just would go on YouTube and learn, and I just taught myself how to play the synthesizer. And and I did actually, I have a solo project that I called Night Ritual. And I built everything off of Night Ritual. So even Baptism of Thieves the foundation was Night Ritual, because I had started doing all my own stuff, and people were now I was in control, right? Now I had the power because I was making the beats and I was writing the songs, and people were digging them. So now they were coming to me saying, hey man, can I be a part of this? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, cool, be a part of this. So when things if we had a falling out, I didn't care, because the foundation was still just me. I was still making all the music. Right. I was just having players come and play the music that I was making. And same thing with Vampire. So in Vampire, shout out to my boy Heresy, who I love. He was the guitar player in Vampire, and he was a righteous dude, man. He always stuck by me, and never had a problem with him. He's one of my closest friends. But the other dude that I had an issue with, not going to mention his name, but again, I was already making all the music, So other people were playing my music.
Yeah.
So when we would have a falling out, I'd be like, cool. And I was already performing by myself under Night Ritual. So I was doing my own thing. And I had, I had a little following in San Diego, and I had songs that people still, I have a song called Underneath the Stars that like, there's no video for it. There's just a photo, and it's got, thousands of views without ever being promoted. And it's a underground popular song, that like, if you've been following me and you know what I do, then you know this history, because a lot of people just know prayers, but I was doing other stuff before prayers, and all this was in the span of 1 year. So I did all of this in the span of 1 year. I was already playing shows, and I didn't need nobody. I didn't care about management, agents, and all that stuff. I was just like doing it on my own, making little videos, like I said, on my cell phone, and people just, enjoyed it, I guess, or picked up on it. And then it took off from there, and until I started doing prayers, and then prayers became what it is now. And but yeah,
I love your story, man, because from the very beginning that we started talking, you've always had this mentality, this mindset of, I'm gonna win, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, young gods.
And it's funny because you said, well, fuck it, I'm gonna start doing my own music. I'm gonna look at YouTube. I'm gonna start, I'm gonna buy my own shit. Like you said, I don't even know what I was doing. I was learning, and there I go. You start building your own foundation, your own fan base. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because I meet young kids all the time, whether they're teenagers or in their early 20s. They want to learn how to produce. They want to learn how to DJ. And here's what I said. Do you got the equipment? Yes. I said, dude, just go to fucking YouTube. YouTube is college now. Yeah, just go on there. Just look how to scratch. I said, I'll show you whatever, I could show you. How to produce, hip hop beats. You got everything, but a lot of these kids, they don't have the want to learn, and you're over here sharing that you wanted to,
Yeah, it was dormant inside of me, It's always dormant inside of me.
Now when you started recording yourself, singing, did you like hearing yourself?
No, man, I would make those vocals super wet, man. So much reverb, you know what I mean, and echo, but that was the sound that I was making. That was what I was into, you know what I mean? Like I was really into like just this haunted, yet like the music was still kind of like, lively, but the vocals and the content has always, since day one, has always been just very dark and drenched in the occult, and that's my MO. That's what I'm into, and that's what
You like watching scary movies?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's different. What I'm into is completely different. You know what I mean? It's more of a lifestyle. I just it's helped me, in so many ways. It pulled me out of like the darkness pulled me out of like my sadness and my depression, in the sense that empowered me. You know what I mean? Like magic empowered me in so many different ways. Like I've seen it with my own eyes. I've had 3 out-of-body experiences where where my spirit saw my body, where I saw myself, and it really moved me. And I've hey, echo. Was that my spirit?
No. Now, when you say magic, you're not talking about pick a card.
No, not that type of magic. No, magic with a K. Okay. But it saved my life, man, in so many different ways. And it's. I feel like it's given me everything that I have. Also, I'm also the type of person like that. Like I don't do things like hoping they bear fruit, even though they do. I just do things out of passion and love, and because I enjoy doing things. And if they take off, well, fucking awesome, right? Yeah. But I didn't start doing music because I was like, I'm gonna make a living off of it. No, I would just, someone said I couldn't do it, and I was like, I'm gonna do it, Like this dude said no to me. A lot of people were like closing their doors to me, and I was just like, man, it's in my heart, it's in my heart. It's a burning desire, and if no one is gonna, hold my hand through it, then I'll be my own best friend. I'll guide myself through it. And I've always been like that too. I've always been my own best friend. You know what I mean? I've always looked out for myself. I've always felt that I owe myself like certain experiences, And I think that's where Leafar Seyer comes in, because my name is Rafael Reyes, and Leafar Seyer is my first and last name backwards. You know, and I feel like, you know, there's the me that's here, and then there's and then there, you know, I think there's like just like there's the, you know, the spirit and the soul that's constantly just kind of like looming over you, just kind of watching you, right? Watching the experience. And then there's the mind that's like a child that's learning, that's here, and that's kind of like seeing things for the first time. But the spirit is ancient, you know? It's like the eternal flame. It's been here forever. So it's you know, it's not its first time here. But the mind is new, right? This is a new brain, and it's seeing the things that are unfolding in front of us. So for me, I feel like my spirit, or as I like to say, Leafar Seyer, just guides me through experiences, and it says, hey man, you want to try this out? Let's try it out, and I'll walk you through it. You know what I mean? Okay. So I think a lot of the things that I have done have always, you know, I've had this you know, this guiding force.
Okay. Like now, when you started doing this music, when you started producing it yourself, how was the response when you were showing people?
Well, yeah, I mean, certain people gravitated towards it, and a lot of people were like, "Yo, this is trash," and I think a lot of people still think it's trash, you know. But and it's you know, I get it, it's all good, but like I've never judged people based on what they do, because it's hard to do what anyone does. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I still have a lot of people that probably dislike what I do, but you know, cream rises to the top, you know what I mean?
Oh, well, you know, it's funny because when I first started producing, I was never any good, I'll be honest with you, but I wanted to, and I had a passion and a desire to do music. Yeah. And then eventually I found somebody, we clicked, we did it, we got signed, and we started touring. Okay. Yeah. And now when you started performing, how was that reception?
Oh man, it was amazing instantly, man. I went up there just like I felt at home. Like the first time that I performed, it was with Vampire. Or it was Baptism of Thieves. It was Baptism of Thieves, but in Baptism of Thieves, I made all our costumes. So we wore like these like masks that were like handmade, that I had made, and all these like you know, almost like regalia, but like almost like demonic kind of stuff. But I made all the clothing for us, and then we would perform. So it was kind of safe because I was behind a mask, and if you wear a mask, you know, you kind of feel kind of safe behind it. But when I started doing Vampire, I was in the front. When I was doing Baptism of Thieves, I was only doing the drum machine and the synthesizer. Okay. And then my buddy Heresy, and it was more of a kind of like a you know, noise avant-garde type of project. And I had my boy Heresy, he was on a lead guitar, and then this guy Michael Zepp, he was on the drums and the vocals. So he was playing he was playing the drums and he was doing the vocals. And it wasn't until I did Vampire, because I was doing Night Ritual already, but I still hadn't like fully performed a lot of shows on my own. It wasn't until I had a falling out with those projects that I was like, I'm just gonna keep doing this like I started by myself. Yeah. You know, but and Vampire was the first where I was just the lead vocalist.
That's a dope ass name, Vampire. The more you keep saying it, the more I like it.
It's dope, right? I'm like, how come no one ever thought of it? Right?
I thought it was a Vampire. Dope ass name.
Yeah, and and then we did our first show at a church, an abandoned church, and it was just it was beautiful, man. I had such a great experience.
Were you ever a Kiss fan?
I like Kiss, but not a huge Kiss fan. Yeah.
I was in 4th grade, and my brother, he always rewarded me if I was good. Yeah, he would always say, "Si te portas bien, you know, you get good grades, I'll take you to go see Kiss. They're going to be at the Forum." So there I am. My two brothers, a younger brother, I have 5 brothers. My younger brother and my older brother, we went. My oldest brother is over here looking at us. My 2 brothers were like saying, "Nah, we don't want to watch these fools." Well, the crowd was going crazy. We want Kiss. Before you know it, my 2 brothers were yelling, "We want Kiss." I was always a huge Kiss fan. My mom thought I was crazy because I liked Kiss. You know, I liked all kinds of music. As a matter of fact, Kiss Love Gun album was my first album that I ever owned. Yeah. And I saw them in concert. And my favorite holiday ever was Halloween. Did you like Halloween at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, for 3 years in a row, I think my mother was trying to throw a hint out there. For 3 years in a row, she dressed me like the devil. El Diablo. ¿Qué voy a hacer para Halloween? Pues el Diablo.
El Diablo.
You know, the next year, ¿qué voy a hacer para Halloween? Pues ahí tienes la máscara.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Man, shout out El Diablo, man, because he's been a huge, like, what's the word? Supporter of what I do. You know what I mean? He's like constantly just looking out for me in so many ways. You know what I mean? And I really, a lot of the songs that I've written, you know, are definitely like dedications, you know, to the love, you know, that we share for each other.
Okay, that'll work. Yeah. You know, now you're not talking about El Diablo from the Loteria, right?
Yeah, them too.
We're going to take a 10-minute break, brother. Yeah. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about the origins of the beginning of prayers.
Yeah, let's do that.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Once again, go get... matter of fact, when I come back, I'm going to have me a nice cold Modelo with a couple of shots. Le voy a preguntar prayers a ver si quiere. Si no, pues, nomás yo. But anyways, once again, 10-minute break. Call somebody, text somebody, slap the shit out of somebody. Let them know that Rafa is in the building, and we'll be back.
Yes. Heard about this young kid from the Harbor area named Tony A. And he was a DJ, you know what I'm saying? He was going in with the big stars, you know what I'm saying? And he was like one of us going in and infiltrating inside of all these MCs, you know what I'm saying?
A Rhodium mixtape is just mixed of different types of music, no matter what genre it is. And like I said, it's like making your own musical movie.
When La Raza came out, man, even the amount of sales of the single of La Raza that got moved out of the Rhodium was crazy, bro. And that song just got played and was played in all the stands over there. And I was blessed to go back one time even to see it, and I want to say in 91 or 92.
Although they were not black, they were Oriental, Asian, whatever you want to call them, they were cool. And they embraced everybody, blacks, Latinos, whoever came to the swap meet to want to buy music, they were record people.
Yeah, what up? This is Mr. Night Owl, and I'm chilling right here with John motherfucking Elkins. Beware, motherfuckers, because we coming.
Testing 1 2 1 2. Right about now, Easy E and Dr. Dre's in the motherfucking house.
Times are getting crazy, it's really hard to choose it. The Rhodium's a spot to get funky, fresh music. Easy motherfucking E and my homeboy Dr. Dre. MC Ren is in effect, and you know we don't play. The Rhodium is hitting, but you know you can't leave until you get a deaf ass tape from Steve. Oh Steve, oh Steve, oh Steve, just give me just one more tape. Oh Steve, oh Steve, oh Steve, just give me just one more tape. Oh Steve, oh Steve, oh Steve, just give me just one more tape. Oh Steve, oh Steve, oh Steve, just give me just one more tape.
Yeah, man, I came all the way down to the Rhodium swap meet, man, to pick up one of them NWA tapes, man. And I talked to homeboy Steve down there, man, and he said I'm fresh out of tapes, man. How the fuck you fresh out of tapes, man? He said cause they selling like hotcakes and shit, man.
Got my man going down. Hey, mom, what's for dinner?
Man, like the NWA and Eazy-E music hit the Roadium swap meet mixtapes first. Like when we dropped our records, man, it was cool putting your records out, but even though people knew who Dre was and I was and Cube and Yella before, they didn't really know who Eazy was. But not until, you know, Boys in the Hood and some of that, you know, Fat Girl and LA is the place, that stuff hit the mixtapes, man. That's what kind of put it out there for people to know, like, what is this Eazy-E and what is this NWA thing? So I think it was like a big, big push.
The Rhodium swap meet mixtapes had a huge impact on hip-hop and the hip-hop culture because it was different and you know, wasn't nobody doing it like that. You know, you had New York, they was doing mixtapes, but you know, you had NWA who was saying whatever the fuck they wanted to say. Motherfuckers wasn't doing that shit, speaking how they wanted to speak, you know, and what that did was open up a lane for what they call gangster rap today and the hip hop culture. And it really opened up lanes for you know, pretty much for the West Coast gangster shit to get out. And nobody else was doing that, and it was just different. And people were scared to say what they wanted to say. And you know, that buzz came from Steve at the Rhodium swap meet, you know, working with Dre and Eazy and created a whole plethora of good music and it created a lot of lanes and opened up a lot of lanes for artists like myself to be able to come out. You know, I'm part of the tree. I'm a branch on the tree that Dre and Eazy started. You know, and then on my branch you got Snoop, the Dogg Pound, 50 Cent, Eminem, and all of those guys. You know, that's all on my branch, the Chronic. And that's what it created, man.
Welcome back, everybody, to Roadium Radio, episode 41, and I am your host once again. But I don't need to tell you that. We're just going to go ahead and jump right back into it. So once again, Rafa, ¿cómo estás?
Bien, carnal.
Everything's good.
Good,
People
man.
often wonder, what do you do during the break? Honestly, we just relax, shoot the shit, and take a little
Talk
drink
about
or whatever.
things we can't talk on air.
Exactly. You know, as a matter of fact, the first time I talked to you, I think you were cruising by, I hope I don't get you in trouble.
No, it's okay. Go for
a taco truck. You were like, me quiero chingar un taco de asado, un taco del pastor. And I said, go for it. No, I can't.
I love my wife, and I love being vegan. You know what I mean? My wife, she does it for the animals, and I you know, I do it for her, and I do it for my health, and now I'm doing it for the animals too, man. The more and more I get involved with volunteering at places like Farm Sanctuary and connect with the animals there, man, you see the light in their eyes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, man, you really see that they're sentient beings and that they like have a spirit, a soul, and you know, it's beautiful. I was connected with this little sheep named Maria, and it was a trip. She would follow me around, and she would look at me like, yo, we're buddies, you know? It's a trip, man.
So now let me ask you off the subject question. 2019, what was your favorite movie?
Oh, man. 2019? When was that? Oh, last year.
Last year?
Last year, damn.
If you had any.
Yeah, I don't think I had any, man. I was just busy being a father of my brand new baby. You know? I mean, I had to cut my nails. I used to do long acrylic nails, and and now I had to take the acrylics off because I'm like changing diapers. So I just been, yeah, man, I've just been spending so much time with my beautiful wife and my son, man. I haven't really been watching movies. Even this album that I'm working on, man, normally I can knock out an album in like, I did SD Kill Wave in 2 days. I did Gothic Summer EP like in a week. Young Gods, same thing. I did it like, I was like a song a day. So there's like 7 songs. So I did them, I went to the studio 7 days, knocked them out. Baptism of Thieves, that one took a little bit longer because we were on the road a lot. So I was doing some of it while I was on the road and some of it while I was on breaks. But this one, man, it's like 2 years in the making, you know what I mean? And my son was born, you know, my wifey was pregnant. So I've been just kind of, when I get a chance to work on music, I do. Luckily, I have a lot of like, I guess you can call it now old material, but at the time when I made it, it was fresh. It just didn't make it on certain albums just because like, for a lot of reasons, I was just like, oh, I didn't want my albums to be that long. I don't, you know, believe in that. So some of these songs like were written, but they weren't recorded, you know?
Right, okay,
yeah.
Okay. The reason why I asked you because I wanted to know if you ever seen Bohemian Rhapsody.
I haven't. I want to though.
You
Yeah,
need to.
I want to. I mean, I love Freddie Mercury.
I don't want to overhype it, but I thought it was a great movie. I enjoyed it. And the reason why I bring that up is because, well, the reason why I wanted to watch it is because Hollywood Records, which is Disney, I was sharing with you earlier.
Okay,
they signed Queen for their last album.
Okay.
And they actually bought all the Queen rights. So Disney literally owns all the Queen music. So for their last album, they had their record release party at the Queen Mary. And this was the year that Freddie had passed, but he didn't come, but all the band members came. And I met all of them. I got to talk to the lead guitarist. I think his name was Brian, if I'm correct. And it was funny because you shared something that it kind of reminded me of Freddie in this sense.
Okay.
He said that, because I asked him, you know, I didn't know how to, I was only like 22 years old, so I didn't know how to approach him. So I just said, hey, man, you know what? I just wanted to ask you, you know, how was Freddie? And he said, well, Freddie's not doing too good. I said, no, I mean, like, how is he? Like, como una persona, like a person, you know, how is he? And he said, well, let me tell you something about Freddie as far as him being a artist, a musician. He said, one thing about Freddie is that from day one, that every time he went up on stage, he pretended as if there were 10,000 people up there. It didn't matter if there was 5.
Yeah. I used to do that, man. When I first started performing, I mean, I wear my dark shades also because they're prescription and I need them to see. But when I'd be on stage, when I first started, I would already, you know, this is my look, you know. But I would close my eyes and I'd be playing to like whatever, you know. At first I'd be playing to like 50 people or whatever, but I would close my eyes and I would just imagine an ocean. Listen to that word, imagine. That's another word, you know. But imagine, I would imagine like an ocean of people. And then one day I opened up my eyes and there was an ocean of people.
Wow. That's dope. That's dope. So now, after Vampire, if I'm correct, Prayers comes along.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How was that formed?
Magically, man. It was just, man, my boy Dave Parlay, and he's like, you know, my spirit brother. Like, he's like my other half. And we came together and it was magic instantly, which is why we were able to make that album so fast. Yeah, it was, you know, I've talked about this, about my relationship with Dave Parlay in other interviews and how the album came to be. And, you know, but it was, you know, we were playing our last show in Vampire. Dave at the time was roommates with the bass player in Vampire. So he came over to see us perform. And it was our last show, and then David came up to me and he was just like, man, you just blew my mind. Like, the music's all right, but like, you up there, man, you're the magic in this thing. Because I would love to make music with you, and I was wondering if you know, want to check out what I do. And I was like, yeah, man, what are you doing tomorrow? You know, come over to the studio. And he brought the MPC and he just started going, you know, crazy on the MPC and just like making all these beats on real time. And I was just like, oh man. And I just grabbed my pad and I started writing, and like that was during the time I was still doing the whole neuro-linguistic programming. So I just was like, just playing with words, which is, it's easy when you're trying to do something that's like less is more type of thing, you know. So I think the first day we got together, we wrote like 4 songs that we both loved, and we were like, the energy was ecstatic. So we were like, man, I was like, come back tomorrow. He came back the next day. the energy was still there where we left it, and we did another 4 songs, and that was we were like, yo, this is an album. And we just barely known each other, and we played our first show the 3rd day of knowing each other. I still didn't even know the lyrics. Like, we were just like, let's do it, because I was gonna play under Night Ritual. That's right, because when I was playing with Vampire, I was still playing as Night Ritual. I was doing both. I was playing as Night Ritual, and I would do Vampire too. So I had booked a show as Night Ritual, and I was like, yo, let's just do this. So that's why in one of the songs called Ready to Bleed, I say we are Night Ritual, because we didn't have a name yet.
Okay.
So we were just kind of using Night Ritual at first. And then we were coming back from LA. We were playing shows. We didn't even have a name yet. And then David was in the passenger seat sleeping, and then he woke up and was like, yo, prayers. And I was like, what? And he's like, that's what we should call our project. Now it's our initials, like Reyes and Parlay, and if you mix the letters, it'll say prayers. And I was like, oh man, that's dope, let's do that. But there was already a band in San Diego called Prayers. Oh, okay. But they had broken up. But they were my homeboys. Shout out the Crocodiles, man. Chucky and Brandon, they're in this band called the Crocodiles, and they were the original Prayers, but they were the Prayers. So they were living in New York, and they were my boys, so I called them up. I called up both of them to get their blessing. And I was like, yo, I got this music project with my boy, yada, yada, yada. And they were like, dude, go for it. Like, you're the homie. Like, do it. And I was like, dope. So I told David, hey, man, they gave us the green light, So we started performing as Prayers.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's dope. That's dope. Now, when you guys started taking the stage with those, well, first of all, let me back up. Mm-hmm. As a producer, and you said the MPC, because to us, we see that as a hip hop drum machine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for those of you that are not familiar with Rafael or the group Prayers, go look them up and look up
what we do. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
David's a beast, man. And my wife actually is forming a band. She's gonna maybe in June, if everything is done with this coronavirus thing, we'll probably be touring together. But my bandmate is gonna be the drummer in her band. So it's pretty exciting. Yeah, man.
Wow.
And my boy Greg. And so it's going to be a three-piece. Well, with my wife, 4. But yeah.
Now let me tell you why I loved seeing that while you were singing, and he's over here.
It's almost like DJ and MC, right?
Yes. And that was like such a dope look. And I'll tell you why. Because the first time that I ever saw somebody live on the drum was at a hip-hop show in 1988.
Okay.
It was a guy from Compton named King T. He had a DJ, DJ Aladdin, and he had the producer, which people know as Red from Friday. He was DJ Pooh.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he had an SB 1200.
Yeah,
and he was playing the beat, boom, cap, boom, boom, cap, and he just started rapping. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was like the most amazing thing, but that was 1988. Yeah. So now I fast forward to Prayers, and I see the dude going off.
Yeah, and my boy's doing it right there real time, man. Like, it's nuts. It's never, backing tracks or anything like that. I mean, I have I have the little SP404 too. That like I have some backing tracks like to do like the harmonizing from Gothic Summer, like the kids choir and stuff like that I have play out of the SP404, but everything else is just real time. My boy did parlay, on the MPC.
Now, does he do all the production now, or do you guys?
Well, for SD Kill Wave, Gothic Summer, and Young Gods, that's him and I. And then a lot of the songs from Baptism of Thieves, him, and then my boy Ray Brady. Shout out Ray Brady. So Ray Brady did, because like I wanted on Baptism of Thieves, I wanted like some New Order sounding guitars, and my boy doesn't know how to play the guitar. I don't know how to play the guitar, so we were like, yo, our boy Ray, shout out Ray, man. He's actually put out a lot of music, and he's behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know. So he's worked with people like Santi Gold when he was really young. I think when he was 16, he did a lot of the early Black Eyed Peas stuff. And he's done like what else? I think his name is Miguel. Twin Shadows, his girlfriend Kilo Quiche. He's even done stuff with Grimes. So he's just like a wizard too, you know what I mean?
Right.
He's a man of musical just magic. And he So we met because at the time I was being managed by Polo Molina and my boy Adrian, who were an undocumented management, who actually, I was being managed by the same guy that manages Black Eyed Peas, which is, I'm sorry, man, Will.i.am? Okay, so Will.i.am's manager, we had the same manager, and at the time I think they were even managing like King Little G, and you know, they have a lot of people, but so they connected me with Ray.
Okay.
And we clicked, and he, like I said, with Ray, I was just like, hey man, I want this New Order sounding guitar, and then I'd play him some he already knew what New Order was, but I would play him some songs, and he'd be like, okay, I got you. And he did Black Leather, you know, from which is in Baptism of Thieves. So Baptism of Thieves has some Ray and some Dave Parley, and we're all so Ray has now become kind of like a secret member. He's like the hidden prayers, you know.
Okay.
So he does our guitars. He does the guitar and prayers, and sometimes he'll come out and play shows with us, you know. But he's on the road a lot, especially with like Santi Gold, because it's like him and it's basically them too, you know.
Okay.
So
now your name backwards.
Leafar Seyer.
What's sparked
it
that?
just comes from like magic, you know. It's like the image in the mirror, the reflection in the water. You know what I mean? It's like the image in the mirror. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it's like the left hand path, and it's just everything in reverse. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny? Because years ago I tried to do that with my name, but it didn't sound cool.
Yeah,
you know what?
It just sounds vampire.
It was Why Not for Tony.
Why not? That's pretty good too, though.
So I was like,
Yeah.
no, not
But-
DJ Why Not. I'll just stick to Tony A, because that's my fourth grade teacher. We had 4 Tonys in the class.
Yeah.
So I was Tony A, and then it was Tony O, and then it was Tony this. Because every time she'll say Tony, everybody will say yes. You
Yeah.
know? So, and then my manager Steve, who I was talking to you about earlier, you need a DJ name. You need a cool DJ name. And I was like, dude, I don't have a fucking DJ name. You need it. So one day he just called me TT Wizard. What the fuck is that? Turntable Wizard. Let's roll with it. So that's what that was. But it's funny enough. Some people may say, oh, you know what? I don't know why he changed his name backwards. If you're a DJ, we do everything backwards. Okay?
Orale.
Like we do. That's
Okay.
all that is.
Yeah, real talk. Yeah.
That's all that is. So for those of you, go try it on your... you know what's funny? We used to always play records backwards when we were kids. A ver qué dice. A ver qué dice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I never found shit, but yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're working on a...
new album, Cholo Goth. Yeah.
Now, I know you don't like being rushed. You don't like release dates. You want to take your time. That's why you're debating whether to go with a major or release it independently.
Yeah, well, because if I start shopping it around now, I know they're gonna put their hooks on it and be like, yo, let's start. So I've been keeping it under wraps, actually. I played it only for my management and for obviously my boy Dave Parley, my wife, and a few people, but I haven't really put it out there that I've until now, you know, that and I put it, you know, let a couple fans know because, but for the most part, I've just been keeping it under wraps.
Okay, now would this be possibly EP album, or you're not sure?
Oh, an album for sure. Yeah.
And
because it's been a minute, it's been like 2 years since I released anything, so I feel like my people like an album.
Okay, and can we expect it sometime this year?
Definitely this year, man. I'm getting close, you know, and I'm making time for it now. So at first I was just like, it was so much going on. We got a new house and the move and the baby, and it was just like, you know, it was hard to make time. Well, wasn't hard. It was just like, man, I really was just I'm in love, you know what I mean? So I was just like, man, I just want to spend as much time as I can with my wife, and you know, it wasn't a priority, like, but now you know, my wife's really the one that's been, you know, prayers, fans, you owe my wife a thank you, because she's the one that's been like, dude, you gotta fucking get back to doing what you do, you know, because you know.
Awesome. And I know you love being a father. You're gonna put your little baby boy in any sports growing up?
No, I don't know. You know, well, we'll see. We'll see what he's into. I'm just gonna be there to guide him, and whatever he's into, man, I'm there. You know what I mean?
You know, it's funny
because I'm not even into sports, so it'd be hard. I don't watch sports. I don't really know like football or like, you know what I mean, stuff like that. So I wouldn't really even know.
So being from San Diego, you were never a Chargers fan?
No, I was always the odd man out. Shout out, my boys are here, man. Can I give my boys a little shout out?
Yes, sir.
My boy Muerto, my big homie Gangster Earn. Can they come out on the camera? I want to show my boys out. Come over here, guys. Man, this is my team, man. They've been rocking with me since day one. Yeah, it's my boy Muerto, and you know him from the videos. He's been with me forever, and this is my big homie Gangster Earn. Yeah, this is my big bro, man, for reals. And this is my team, man. They're Chargers. You guys Chargers fans?
All day, homie.
You see?
All day.
Yeah, they're yeah.
I don't know about now though. Rivers left, so he's the last tired San Diego. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of hard because I'm a Raiders fan.
But I don't know much. Like I said, man, I'm from Sherman, but and die until the end, till the wheels fall off. But I'm non-traditional Cholo. I don't do the baggy pants, and I don't do the sports. You know what I mean? I'm just me, and you know what? Shout out my neighborhood because they've always had my back. Like they've always allowed me to be me. You know what I mean?
Awesome. That's
and
dope.
I felt like. I was gonna be me regardless, but it's beautiful to have people support you. Not everybody does, but like the majority do, and a lot of them they're my brothers, they're my family. You know what I mean? We've been through so much, and they've been there for me, and so man, I love my neighborhood. Shout out to all my homies. Shout out my homeboy Bubba. Shout out my homeboy Smurf, my cousin Wicked. They're lifers. They've been down for a long time. And all the homies, from my neighborhood who are doing time, man, nothing but love, and thank you for having my back, since I started doing all this stuff, and even before that, they've always been so supportive of me. I mean, they take a lot of shit, like a lot of my friends get in fights just because of who I am, and people want to say things or whatever, and they defend me, and I've had certain friends that they've gotten in fights with people because they're like, hey, your homeboy's a this or he's a that, and they're like, they feel like, hey, you're disrespecting him, you're disrespecting me, so it's family. And I would do the same thing for anyone that I love. I don't like when people do the whole thing of like, hey, I ran into such and such and they were talking bad about you, and I was like, and what? And you just stood there and joined in and listened, and you were like, oh,
right?
Like if someone says something disrespectful about any of my brothers, you might as well just be saying disrespecting me, know, and it's on, what I mean? I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh, cool, you feel that way about my homeboy? No, not at all. I'm not one of those dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, and like I said, I don't want to be on none of that stuff, anyways, because like I'm trying to change my MO. I'm a married man now.
Dope. That's awesome. That's awesome. So now on this album, you're calling it.
Cholo Goth.
Cholo Goth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know what? For different reasons. I mean, obviously, we coined the term and created the genre, and a lot of it came because when I first started doing music, I was calling the genre. When I was first doing Night Ritual, I was calling the sound that I was making occult wave.
Okay.
Right? Because wave, like synthesizers, new wave, dark wave, So I was like, okay, well, it's not necessarily new wave, but a lot of it is dealing with like, the occult. So I was like, well, occult wave.
Okay.
And that was like Vampire, Baptism of Thieves, and Night Ritual. That was all occult wave. And then when I started doing prayers, that was more really me, because when I was doing the other stuff, I was kind of emulating the stuff that I grew up listening to that I really loved, but in my way. But when I really started doing prayers, that's when like it was me. I was like, you know what, I'm not going to try to create from a place of fantasy. I'm going to make songs like about my emotions, how I feel, like the things that I'm going through and whatnot. So a lot of it was, stories of empowerment, violence, and well, if you know the music. So I started calling it Kill Wave, because it was street, right? The language that I was using was street oriented. So, and then we had the synthesizer. So I was like, man, this is like if Goth was violent.
Yeah.
So could have called it Violent Wave, but I called it Kill Wave.
Okay.
So sometimes when I'd have conversations about whatever, because about the music, that they're like, man, what kind of music is this? And I was like, it's Kill Wave. and people was like, what's kill wave? And I was like, like dark wave, synth wave, like new wave, but like kill wave. And they'd be like, nah. And then one day I was like, Cholo Goth. And then people were like, oh, yeah, I get it. so then I was just describing it as Cholo Goth, and then that became a thing, you know.
Well, that's a dope name right there.
Yeah.
That's a dope name. Now, on a couple of people in the comments during the break, I was looking at them. Some people were ask him about a song that he did with Conejo. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Oh man, shout out my boy Conejo, man. That's my dog. We're working on something. You know, we just been both. I mean, he's been killing it, right? Conejo's been killing it. He's been so busy. I just need to get a hold of him, man. I mean, he's so prolific too. Damn, his story is insane, man. Shout out Conejo, man. That's the homeboy right there. Nothing but love. You know, I never really like, no disrespect or anything to any artist, but I never got into the Chicano rap scene. You know what I mean? I was, you know, my taste in music was different, but people started reaching out, and then I started really paying more attention and listening to people. Oh man, like it's just opened up my mind, you know, to a whole new sound. And yeah, man, Conejo is, man, he's the godfather of that shit. You know what I mean? Like man, yeah, me and Conejo, we definitely working on something. We worked on something. We have something, and that's not necessarily finished, but I think, yeah, me and him for sure doing something. You know, I would love Conejo to be on my new album.
Okay.
You know,
that'll work.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this. This might be a dumb question, but I'm asking. Do you ever plan on having a DJ up there with you?
Well, you know, did we? Let me think about that. No, because it's just like not the aesthetic, and to me, what I do, like always, the presentation has been very important to me. Even when I was doing Vampire, like I was more like, you know, like if I didn't like a way a person dressed, I was like, you ain't in the band, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh man, that's so shallow, right? But to me, it's about presentation. So like, I just don't think like a DJ works with what we do, you know what I mean? But we did do a song with the homeboy DJ Clever. It's called Drugs, and he's sick. He's a dope DJ, man. Shout out DJ Clever. And for a second there, I thought, did he ever perform with us? But he hasn't. Okay. But no, I haven't done. But you know what? It's funny about the music that we do. Like what's interesting, I guess. Interesting is the word that I'm gonna use for this about the music that we make is that it fits in a lot of places. You know, like when we first started off, we were just doing our own thing, and a lot of the places we were opening up, like and you know, for bands like the Cult. Shout out the Cult, you know. And then we've even, like, what I'm trying to say is that we kind of like fit in whatever genre. Like I've opened up for the Far Side.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, the Prayers, you know what I mean? When we opened up for the Far Side, I did a show in New York, a showcase where we opened up for somebody in the Wu-Tang Clan. I can't remember his name. I don't know if it's Ghostface Killer or something. Okay. But yeah, it's interesting, you know what I mean? We've done, I mean, different. We just did Tropicalia, which is like a festival of older Mexican bands, you know, like the Sonora Dinamita and yeah. So it's, I mean, I think that's some of the magic behind Prayers is that you can kind of put us anywhere. We're not just like in a you know, whatever goth venue.
Well, I'm gonna ask something of you, and I hope you say yes.
Yeah, what's up?
Next time you perform anywhere here in LA, please invite me. I want to go.
Oh, of course, hermano, ya sabes. Oh, it's done.
I'll bring the tacos de carne. I'm only playing.
No, but yeah, of course, man. I really love your energy, man.
Thank you, brother.
You know, I haven't done interviews in a long time, and I was kind of like done with them. I felt like I've said my piece. I've said so much, and it's time to just, you know, I don't know, work or whatever. But you know, when Misfit Soto said, hey, this is the homie, the big homie's the legend, and I was just like, and you're raza, and I'm always down, you know what I mean, to support anything that's raza. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm there, you know what I mean? But yeah, I had kind of like already like was like, man, no more interviews, you know what I mean? After a while, it just sounds redundant, you know what I mean? Just telling your story over and over. And it's like, there's so many interviews over there where I've just like, you know, told my story. Sometimes I come unhinged, and you know, I think those are the ones that people really look forward to. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I disappointed anyone and I didn't come unhinged and, you know, tapped into the stream of consciousness.
All
But
good,
I just,
brother.
you know,
You know,
my
it's funny.
energy's different.
Yes, in 2019, I must have did about 60 interviews, like podcasts, and the reason why I did it is because I never did interviews before, never.
You're a great interviewer.
Well, honestly, man, that humbles me, and I'm thankful that you say that simply because when we turned this on September 11th, 2019, I didn't know what the fuck I was going to say or do. I don't have nothing written down.
Yeah, that's the best way, man.
Yeah, and so 2019, I did all my podcasts just to promote this. And like I was sharing with you earlier, we only wanted to do this for a couple of months just to
Yeah.
promote that. But it took off, people liked it, and you know what? You're here. And,
Yeah, man, I'm glad I'm here, man. It's good.
You know, when Misfit says, yeah, he's going to call you right now. I was like, okay, cool. I picked up the phone, and I was like, this dude, he's like cool as fuck, dude.
Yeah, I leave my, you know, I leave Leafar Seyer on stage. You know what I mean? When I'm on stage, you know, I'm me. You know.
Leafar Seyer, that just sounds dope, man. That just sounds dope. I like
the dragon, the serpent, the spear. I was born without wings. I was born incomplete. My ego is starving. There's nothing to eat. They failed to find something worth loving in me. I'm speaking in tongues, baptism of thieves, trapped in a world that I built by mistake, tortured and beaten. They left me for dead, alone with my thoughts in a room with no bed, no windows, no doors. My body's a cage. If I had a choice, I would do it again. So many layers between us and them. I'm coming undone. Is it all in my head? Ooh. They cried and I laughed because the joke was on them. They gave me the freedom to dig my own grave because freedom is something we cannot possess. Stuck in the cycle of making mistakes. Life is a journey leading to death, and death is the place where freedom is kept.
You know what I would have done? First of all, let's give a round of applause, everybody. Thank you. Everybody out there, you guys better give a round of applause. You know what's funny? The first thing I was thinking, dum, dum,
Yeah.
dum. That shit was hard, bro.
Yeah, man.
That shit is hard. So at this time, I want to give an opportunity in case you might have missed somebody. If you want to give a shout out to anybody,
Yeah, my beautiful wife, Kat Von D. I love you so much, baby, man. You've changed me in so many ways, man. Yeah, man, I love my wife. Who else? I gave a shout out to, let's see. Yeah, shout out to my son, Leafar Seyer, baby Leafar. You know, shout out my daughter, Ashley Reyes, you know, beautiful baby girl. And my mother, all my homies from my neighborhood, you know. That's it, man. I don't know. My team, my management, you know, shout out Kenny Ochoa, you know, thanks for always looking out for us, you know, keeping our best interest in mind, like above money and all this shit. Yo, my manager, he's so dope, man. He's like, you know, he's done so many things for us, like, and where like it's never on money, it's always based on like integrity and what's best for the for I guess the brand is the word that is used, but you know what's best for prayers, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are out there for the money, and I love my manager. He doesn't manage anyone else but us. And I used to have a problem with other managers because they would have so many people that would manage.
Right.
And I was like, man, I only want somebody that's only gonna manage us, you know. And it's been a trip because I haven't worked for 2 years, you know. But he sticks with us, you know. He has nothing but love, and he sees, you know, he's a homeboy.
Awesome, awesome. Well, first and foremost, I want to say, first of all, much love, much respect to your wife and to your child, and I know you're gonna be a great father.
Yeah,
Awesome.
man, I'm all right. I'm learning. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning. You know, fatherhood's a trip. You know, because I had you know my daughter when I was 17 years old, and I was working so much at that restaurant that I was, you know, just more of a provider. So I wasn't really able to spend as much time as I would have liked to. But you know, we're in each other's life. You know, we had a little break for a minute, but we're back in each other's life, and I love her, and I think that's a lot of the reasons I've changed too. You know. Shout out my wife again because she helped me so much, you know, with mending our relationship, and my son too. There's been a lot of healing in my life in the past 2 years, you know, because before my wife, man, I was just angry all the time, and I was using my ego to help me manage the chaos, for lack of better words, you know what I mean? And now I'm just managing the chaos just based on like being able to just like, I love my ego because without it, there would be no prayers. But at the same time, I gotta tone it down, and I gotta, there's a time and place for everything. You know what I mean? And but I think having an ego is very important. You know what I mean? Especially if you're gonna be an artist, because you gotta have like thick skin. Because so many people have so many opinions and whatnot. But I mean, for me, all that stuff's like water off a duck's back. I've been getting that since I was a youngster. Because I've always been, me, and I've always been different. So a lot of people want to put you in a box, and it's easier. I think it's easier to like blend in, and a lot harder to stand out. You know what I mean? And when you stand out, you got people looking at you.
Dope. Well, let me give a shout out to Ernesto and Muerto.
Yeah.
Okay, San Diego's in the house, everybody.
San Diego's in the house.
Much love, much respect to San Diego. And since we're talking about San Diego, let me give a shout out to 3 homies from San Diego: Night Owl, Little One, and Shadow. So much love, much respect to them. And then I'm going to give my shout out to my crew. My boy John motherfucking Elkins, because without him, this shit wouldn't be happening. This dude, I always like to say he's the Steve Jobs of the city of Torrance. So that's my boy right there. My boy Daniel Jones, DJ Media Clips. He helped me film this DOCUMIXERY. He takes all of our dope pictures. Follow him at DJ Media Clips. Let me give a shout out to my niece Denise. I love her very much. For those of you who don't know, I used to change her diapers, but I love her. Yeah. And then let me give a shout out to my boy Big Daddy Swoles. You don't want to fuck around with Big Daddy Swoles. And my boy Julian Gonzalez. Do you have a nickname? Not Ñoño, right?
Nah, just Fail.
Fail.
Fail. That's a good name.
Yeah, it's a good, dope name.
Fail.
Yeah. So anyways, other than that, I want to thank you, brother.
Oh, gracias, hermano.
Muchas gracias, brother. Thank you for coming, man. I greatly appreciate it. Once again, tomorrow I'm going to post who will be here on Wednesday. You'll be surprised. I have an awesome, great guest. And for those of you who tuned in, much love, much respect to you guys. Thank you for putting up with my dumb ass, but we'll be back on Sunday. Much love, much respect. Rafael Reyes, prayers was in the building. Let somebody know. Okay.